I don't think he thinks he's okay. If Donald Trump thought these documents exonerated him, and let's remember, Carol, they had 1,000 FBI staffers, agents and FBI analytical staff going through every bit of the several 100,000 pages of paper regarding this for weeks and weeks and weeks to make sure that they identified and redacted Trump's name.
Now, in the Oval Office at the White House tonight, President Trump said that if a bill landed on his desk to release all of the Epstein files, he would sign it.
I believe that many of the people some of the people that we mentioned are being looked at very seriously for their relationship to Jeffrey Epstein, but they were with him all the time. I wasn't at all. And we'll see what happens. What I just don't want Epstein to do is detract from the great success of the Republican Party.
Well, it comes after Donald Trump's dramatic U-turn in which he's urged Republicans in Congress to vote for the release of all files linked to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The president had previously signalled opposition to further disclosures. Now he says his party has nothing to hide. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has been speaking out against Donald Trump's claims that she's a traitor for pushing for those Epstein files to be released.
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein files, and that is shocking. I believe the country deserves transparency in these files, and I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong. And so I'm standing with the women, and I will continue to do my small part to get the files released.
Well, let's talk to Rick Wilson, a former Republican strategist. He's founder of the Lincoln Project. Good evening, Rick.
Good evening, Carol.
Why do you think President Trump has performed this complete U-turn? He's been resisting releasing all of these documents for so long. Yesterday, he suddenly signalled that he was fine for it all to happen, and he's gone even further today.
I will explain it to you in a way that truly indicates where Donald Trump is as a lame duck. He understood that between 50 and 100 of his own Republicans in the House and a likely veto-proof majority in the Senate were going to vote for this. So he is trying to walk this back and pretend that this is all his idea and that he's giving them permission. This has fractured the Republican Party at a level that very few other issues around Trump have ever even begun to rival. But I also want to make something very clear. Donald Trump does not need Congress to release these files. He can call Pam Bondi or tweet at her, as he likes to do, and tell her to do it. Right now, he could do it this very minute. All of this is a kabuki dance. It's all a show. I think most people believe that the DOJ will have redacted anything mentioning Trump to a degree that makes Watergate look like amateur hour by the time these things do get released. But he could release the Epstein materials right now. He doesn't need Congress to vote for it.
I mean, what is interesting is that during his election campaign, Trump said, yeah, we're going to release all these Epstein files that have been covered up by the Democrats. Then when he got into power, he became much more cautious on all of this. We had a huge new cache of documents released last week. One of them did seem to point to the fact that he had spent some time, some hours with one of the girls. But what the Republicans were saying was that this was Virginia Giuffre, who, of course, has died. Her own posthumous story of her life has been released. And she said she had no problem with Trump. So has he belatedly realized that perhaps he's okay?
Oh, I don't think he thinks he's okay. If Donald Trump thought these documents exonerated him, and let's remember, Carol, they had 1,000 FBI staffers, agents and FBI analytical staff going through every bit of the several 100,000 pages of paper regarding this for weeks and weeks and weeks to make sure that they identified and redacted Trump's name. But Jeffrey Epstein also said things like he knew about the girls. He knew what Ghislaine was doing at Mar-a-Lago. He understood. And he bragged to Steve Bannon, is it any wonder that he's afraid of you and I having a friendship because we can destroy him with what I know about him and
well,
all
he's
these
always, of course, we should make it clear, President Trump has denied any wrongdoing, and he's also said that he severed his relationship with Epstein before he was convicted of sex offenses.
And the document tranche that we saw that was released last week by the House Oversight Committee puts the lie to that. He was still socializing at Mar-a-Lago. He was still around Trump. He was insisting, though, of course, that he never saw anything to do with any wrongdoing with any girls, wasn't he? Donald Trump is notoriously the most mendacious president in the history of America. And that is a fairly high bar. And is not a man who I think anyone would look to and say they would bet their life on Donald Trump being truthful. And especially in something like this, where there is such a deep well inside the Republican Party of obsession about Jeffrey Epstein, obsession about this topic, obsession about this imagined global pedophile ring. Well, there was one. It was run by his close friend Jeffrey Epstein, and he's now sent Jeffrey Epstein's enabler, Ghislaine Maxwell, to a cushy federal club-fed...
Well, she is still in prison. I mean, we heard there from the Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was formerly a very close ally of President Trump's. She clearly, and she and Trump have fallen out badly over this. Is there any sense in which we know how she will react now that he has agreed to release all of these files?
I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, as well as a large number of other Republicans, they are looking now at a post-Trump future. They are looking now at a post-Trump era where his ability to command and control the Republican Party is a different flavor. He'll still have great power inside the party for a long time, but it's not what it was. It's not the same level of instantaneous obedience. She also is from a state that went significantly more towards the Democrats in this off-year election just now, and she wants to run statewide eventually. She is definitely planning this with an eye to the politics of it. So I don't think she's going to jump back into bed with Donald Trump and say, all is forgiven, you're a great guy.
We now have this vote tomorrow in Congress. Is that now certain to mean that Congress will vote to release all of the Epstein files and that those will now be published?
Carol, I don't know the answer to that because they're at this hour, there are some shenanigans going on about what kind of rule that the bill will be considered under, or the petition will be considered under, and whether or not it's an amendable item. And that's inside legislative, baseball. But I think we're going to end up getting Congress demanding the full release. That then begs the question, does the Department of Justice demand or actually release all the documents, or do they give them a redacted set of documents? How do we know they're giving them the full set of documents? There is a great amount of distrust, even among Republicans, of Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche at the DOJ right now.
Yeah, and I mean, one of our listeners, Matthews, got in touch to say, has Trump managed to get references to him removed from the Epstein files? You seem to be suggesting that some of the references to Trump may in fact be redacted.
Look, they didn't put 1,000 FBI employees on going through these files to find Trump's name, to publicize Trump's name. They didn't spend months going through them and saying, okay, he's mentioned here, he's mentioned there, he's on this trip, he's on that trip, he's with Epstein here, he's with Epstein there, in order to put together a package that says, here are the connections of Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. That's not how the DOJ works anymore. They are a Trump private law firm and a private prosecution office for his political enemies. They're not about justice here. They're about protecting Trump.
We should be clear, shouldn't we, that there are also questions about other individuals, including former President Clinton in these files. A number of senior Democrats are thought to have been referenced. I mean, this could be quite a huge amount of information on quite a lot of powerful people.
Listen, I think I fall into a category here with a lot of other Americans, left, right, and center. And the belief is, let it rip. If there's a group of rich and powerful men abusing children, abusing young women, abusing women who have been sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, then their identities should be public. They should face scrutiny. They should face accountability. They should be put before the public spotlight. I think that the behavior that that we've seen covering this up for so long is a continuation of that abuse. And I think everybody's name, it's Bill Clinton or Prince Andrew or whomever, I don't care. It should all come out. These victims deserve, and there are hundreds, if not over 1,000 victims of Epstein in this ring from many accounts. I think that those things absolutely those people have to be held accountable for the actions they took.
Rick Wilson, former Republican strategist and founder of the Lincoln Project. Thanks so much for joining us.